winning for the sake of winning or for pride or for the paying customers or something like that, that's nice. And I'm going to be the last one to knock it. I've been preaching it quite a bit of late, in fact. But there's a much bigger benefit to be had. Good morning to you. Good Friday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Pirates in the same place that you found this. Penguins 5, Blues 3, and if you're still counting, that's 3 in a row. Beat the Wild, beat the Golden Knights, and now beat St. Louis. And 3 pretty good teams at that, without overstating it. It's not like they're mopping up on the Sharks and the Blackhawks, the Sabres, whatever. They haven't been perfect. They certainly weren't in the game last night. First period, Blues were just all over them. Throughout the game, the Blues power play had way too easy a time. And the offense would go through these awkward stretches of not really achieving much of anything, and then just getting a shot past Jordan Binnington, who was the bad version of Binnington and got pulled. So this wasn't like it was some masterpiece or it was some tribute to how hard we're going or anything like that. It was mostly about Tristan Jarry, again, being very good. It was about being opportunistic, and it was about closing it out at the end when it was just a 1-goal lead. But step back from it. And instead of looking at the forest, look at a few of the trees. Look what Jarry's doing right now. It might not exactly resuscitate his NHL career, but it's a heck of a first step. 34 more saves in this one. Look at some of the guys that you're finding out about, for better or worse. If you scratch Ryan Graves almost as often as he plays, and that's not quite the ratio, but it's no longer surprising whenever he's out of the lineup, and he draws back in last night really only because of injuries to Ryan Shea and P.O. Joseph. He scores his first goal of the season. Now, again, this wasn't some, Al McInnes blast. He just flicked it from the left point, and Binnington didn't see it. But he had himself a really fun celebration. He ended up playing a pretty decent game defensively. Not great. Had one really gross giveaway, but decent. And with the amount of money that you're stuck paying him, you got to get something out of him that looks like progress. That matters. Connor Timmins, one of the new guys, defenseman, scored a pretty nice goal. A guy who's had only 3 all season and seems to be pretty nimble on his skates. Connor Dewar scored his first goal of the season. That's in 34 games played, including his time along with Timmins, obviously, up in Toronto. Just went to the net and redirected a gorgeous pass through traffic from Blake Lizotte on what's been a pretty substantive fourth line at times, along with Noel Acciari. If I had my way, there'd be a couple more guys up from Wilkes-Barre Scranton, and you'd be able to see more of them, not just for your own entertainment purposes, but so that you find out what it is that they need to work on, what it is that they need to address to make the roster this coming fall out of training camp. And I could cite a few others, but you get the idea. You want individual players to succeed almost as much as you would want the team to win. And maybe in this environment, you want it more. You don't want Kyle Dubas to have to go and spend this coming summer finding 100 Anthony Beauvilliers to create an air of competition at camp. What you want is for that competition to already be in-house and to have it be serious. Not just because everybody's at the same bad level, but because they're at the same good level or promising level. This was Graves after the game.
I mean, there's a few things that play into it. I think we're competing hard. I think that we're continuously trying to improve and just show a lot of character. I think Jars has played really well. That we've had some bad periods that, what they should, I was 15-4 in the first period today. He played really well. So things like that, the mini game he stood on his head. I think that's your goalie can really impact a game. So really happy to see him play well.
I mean, that's a fair assessment, for a guy who's looking in the mirror from both the player and the team standpoint. Neither he nor they were exactly awesome to get it going. They relied on Jari. They made things happen. Fine. Wonderful. I'm not asking anybody to do cartwheels or to, get together and give the players some standing ovation the next time they're on the rink Saturday. Maybe I'm better off just saying, consider the alternative. Consider if they were just losing. Consider if they were just dogging it. Consider if they were just, I don't know, I'm not blocking shots now. Are you kidding? Look at the calendar. And all you'd be thinking about in that circumstance is, ooh, yay, one higher notch on the draft. But the damage that would be getting done, I'm sorry, no, I'm not there. If you want to have yourself a better draft, go scout harder. When we come back, J1Q. This episode is brought to you by Bet Online, your number one source for all your summer sports needs this season. From Major League Baseball, golf, NHL, NBA playoffs. Get the latest odds and lines, including all team matchups, player props, odds on just about everything that's out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Bet Online, where the game starts. Today's J1Q comes from Chuck, who says, DK, I was very impressed with both Connor Timmins and Vladislav Kolyachonok in this game. What do you think? What I've got on these two players is really, really, really different, and it comes from different places. I hope you'll hear me out. I know they've both been here, a similar amount of time, or at least they've played a similar amount of time. Kolyachonok was just getting scratched there for a while after coming over from Salt Lake City. And on top of that, he was left in the press box for a month when he was out there. So taking these players one at a time, Timmins comes here. Timmins was active, and you could tell that Timmins was active because he fit in right away. I thought in the game in St. Paul, in particular, he looked like he'd been with the team for quite a while, meaning the Penguins. He was moving to all the right places. He was making himself available to his partner. He was rushing up ice. He was, I wouldn't say leading the rush. He wasn't pulling like all out Erik Karlsson / Chris Letang kind of schemes, but he was making things happen along the right boards in the Minnesota zone. And that, by the way, is what he did last night on his goal. The only difference was St. Louis just didn't bother going to him at all. He came in down the right boards and started cutting to the middle, and I think he thought he was going to get closed in on, which he should have been, and then nobody came, so he's just like, all right, I'm just going to pick my spot. And he really did. Really did. You can fault Jordan Binnington for a lot, but that shot was just exactly where Timmins wanted it to go. So he's been almost instantly encouraging. I watch him now from the prism of what was this dude's malfunction for the Maple Leafs to not want him. It's not as if that's an organization that's known for developing defensemen. We'll see. It's a really, really nice start. Now, back to Kolyachonok. On the other hand, I feel like he didn't have an opportunity for that kind of start. He and I had a talk when he first got here, and he wasn't about to complain on his first day in the new gig and everything. This was up in Cranberry after a practice. But he did acknowledge that it's not easy to stay sharp when you're sitting up there with us reporters. And his game is based really almost entirely on his mobility. He's got a good stick. He's got a good feel. He is now doing some of those things that I described Timmins as doing right off the bus, and that's been encouraging. Kolyachonok has the skill level, the natural God-given roll out of the womb skill level needed to play in this league. There's a reason that Utah management saw fit to keep him around for a month straight, even though they weren't using him, because they really didn't want him to leave the organization. Eventually, you just run into roster calls. So both of them appear to be nice pickups for Kyle Dubas in the extremely early stages. I don't have nearly as much to say about the other ones yet, at least the ones, that are in the NHL, obviously. I'll sound ridiculous saying that I haven't seen much from Connor Dewar after he scored the goal last night, so I'll pass on that one. And Tommy Novak, he had almost no time coming over and then getting hurt and blocking that shot in St. Paul, but he showed some of the stuff that Phil Tomasino in particular talked about that he liked from their time together in the Nashville organization. Very much incomplete on that front. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Penguins. We'll be back with another one of these on Monday.